Senator from Kansas.
I ask the quorum call be lifted.
Without objection.
Mr. President, thank you. The need for economic growth remains one of the most pressing, challenging issues that we face today in our country. Unfortunately, over the past decade, economic growth has been stagnant, creating difficulties for small businesses, for working families, for recent college graduates, and for entrepreneurs. If we have a goal, if I have a goal here, it's to make certain that every American has the opportunity to pursue what we all know as the American dream. And for that to be possible, we need a growing economy that accomplishes many things, including creating that opportunity for people to go to work, to pay off their loans, to feed their families, to put food on their family's table, to save for their future. And last month, the Senate had an opportunity to do something positive about our economy. We spent a significant amount of time addressing this issue of immigration, trying to fix our nation's broken immigration system. Sensible and overdue are improvements to our nation's immigration laws that will spur economic growth and create American jobs. That's why I have been so interested to see how highly skilled and entrepreneurial immigrants create jobs and contribute to the U.S. economy. It is that aspect of our nation's broken immigration system that I want to talk about today. There is an economic imperative to improve our nation's immigration laws. Many of our nation's leading businesses struggle to find the talent they need to grow and compete in global markets. According to the Partnership for a New American Economy, American businesses are projected to need an estimated 800,000 workers with advanced STEM degrees by 2018, but will only find 550,000 American graduates with that advanced degree. First and foremost, we must do more to prepare Americans for careers in science and technology and engineering. Now, I've been encouraged that several immigration proposals before Congress aim to improve STEM education for Americans so that one day we will no longer be required to seek outside labor for meeting our country's needs. But in the short term, we must work to equip Americans with the skills for the 21st century. We also need to create a path for highly skilled foreign students to stay in the United States where their ideas and talents, their intellect can fuel American economic growth. Legislation that I introduced with the Senator from Virginia, Senator Warner, it's called Startup Act 3.0, creates visas for foreign students who graduate from an American university with a master's or PhD degree in science, and technology, engineering, or mathematics. These skilled workers would be granted conditional status contingent upon them filling a needed gap in the U.S. workforce. This will help grow American companies to secure the talent they need now for current job openings. And without this help, companies will have to look elsewhere. We'll find it more difficult to find the qualified workers they need, and will likely open locations overseas and taking the jobs with them. When I was in Silicon Valley last year, I met with executives at Facebook, and they told me they were ready to hire close to 80 foreign-born but U.S. educated individuals in California, but their H-1B visas were never granted. Rather than forego these skilled workers, the company hired them anyway. That caught my attention. But the story is they placed them in Dublin, Ireland, not in the United States. Facebook was ultimately able to get visas for these workers after training them in Ireland, but all too often companies end up housing the jobs permanently overseas. When this happens, it's not only those specific jobs that are lost, in this case, we didn't just lose 80 jobs, but also the many supporting jobs and economic activity associated with those jobs. And even more damaging, more damning, more frustrating to me is that many of these highly skilled workers who are now employed in some other country will become entrepreneurs that will start successful businesses there, not in the United States. Those 80 engineers working in Dublin, Ireland for Facebook, I have no doubt but one or more of them will be the next originator, the next innovator for a company like Facebook. And we want them in the United States creating that opportunity here for Americans. Immigrants to the United States have a long history of creating businesses here in our country. Today, 1 in every 10 Americans employed at a privately owned U.S. company works at an immigrant-owned firm. And immigrants are more than twice as likely as native-born Americans to start a business. Of the current Fortune 500 companies, more than 40% were founded by a first or second generation of American. Ranked number 73 on that list, Google, which was co-founded in 1998 by Sergey Brin, an immigrant from Russia. Sergey and his co-founder, Larry Page, developed Google as PhD students while at Stanford University. Google is now the world's top search engine, generates more than $50 billion in revenue annually, and employs tens of thousands. We need to create an immigration system that welcomes more immigrants like Sergey Brin. Our bill, Startup 3.0, creates an entrepreneur's visa for foreign-born entrepreneurs currently in the United States. Those individuals with a good idea, capital, and a willingness to hire Americans would be able to stay in the United States and grow their businesses here. Each immigrant entrepreneur would be required to create jobs for Americans. Providing a way for an immigrant entrepreneur to stay in the United States and create American jobs just makes economic sense. Earlier this year, the Kauffman Foundation, headquartered in Kansas City, studied the economic impact of the entrepreneur's visa in Startup 3.0. Using conservative estimates, the Kauffman Foundation predicts that the entrepreneur's visa alone could generate 500,000 to 1.6 million new jobs during the next 10 years. These are real jobs with real economic impact that could boost GDP, by their estimate, by 1.5% or more. When we talk about economic growth and creating opportunity, a boost in GDP by 1.5%, that's a major accomplishment. Recognizing this potential, several bills create visas for immigrant entrepreneurs. It is important that these visas be structured in a way as to facilitate job creation. Unnecessarily high investment and revenue requirements and burdensome mandates like having to submit a business plan to a Washington, D.C. office, a government office, threatens to diminish the impact these entrepreneurial visas could have. Although well-intentioned, the INVEST visa created in the Senate immigration bill fell prey to some of those traps. To improve that idea, I developed an amendment with the help of entrepreneurs, investors, and startup policy experts. This amendment would reduce paperwork and recording requirements so that entrepreneurs could spend more time building their businesses, allow entrepreneurs to secure initial investment from those closest to them, add flexibility to the way in which startup employees are compensated to account for geographic and industry differences, and clarify that jobs created by immigrant entrepreneurs must be held by Americans. A list of more than 30 startup companies, investors and business leaders, and immigration attorneys supported this amendment. Sadly, like many other amendments, it was blocked from even receiving consideration. But in the end, that may not matter. The Speaker of the House has said that the Senate immigration bill is, quote, dead on arrival. Instead of taking up Senate legislation, the House is pursuing a more perhaps methodical approach to immigration, writing several targeted bills that address aspects of our broken immigration system. Congress crafts better policy when it's done in manageable bite sizes. We do not have to look far, in my view, in the past to see what happens when Congress bites off more than it can chew. Implementation of the Affordable Care Act and Dodd-Frank offer two examples of the unintended consequences of passing giant bills, multi-thousand pages that are poorly understood. In fact, it was 1986 comprehensive immigration bill that left us with so many problems that we're attempting to fix today. Passing a series of smaller, more targeted immigration bills will result in better policy and achieve better results for the American people. Moreover, there is broad agreement within Congress on many aspects of immigration policy. Last year, the House of Representatives passed two immigration bills. One would have repurposed visas from the diversity lottery to STEM visas for some of our most talented foreign-born U.S. graduates. Another would have eliminated the employment-based green card per country cap, allowing American employers to have access to the best talents regardless of where a potential employee was born. This bill passed 389 to 15 in the House. Yet neither received a vote in the Senate because adherence to the approach that says we can't do anything unless we do everything. This line of thinking has prevented progress on important challenges facing our country for a long time. Republicans and Democrats agree that creating opportunities for highly skilled and entrepreneurial immigrants to contribute to our economy is beneficial to America. I strongly hope that Congress will finally come together and pass things that we can agree upon now while continuing to work on the issues that divide us. In my view, we no longer can allow ourselves to be held hostage to the all or nothing strategy or wait until after the next election. Right now, other countries are taking advantages of our inability to solve problems and are exploiting our broken immigration system. Since I arrived in the United States Senate in 2011, at least 7 countries have changed their policies and laws to better attract highly skilled and entrepreneurial immigrants. Of those countries, Canada even went so far as to buy billboards in Silicon Valley in an attempt to poach our best and brightest. We must address this problem, and the best way to do so is in a measured, incremental way. The benefits to our nation's economy will be great, and the goodwill produced by working in a bipartisan manner on targeted solutions will sow the seeds of trust necessary to solve the problems where disagreement remains. So we'll see what happens now in the immigration debate, but my hope is that if we're unable to pass so-called broad-based immigration reform, if we're unable to come up with sensible solutions in an understandable legislative package, let us at least work to accomplish those things that there is broad agreement on and continue to work to solve those problems that there remains disagreement today. Mr. President, thank you. I note the absence of a quorum.